Seat, please. Come back to the front. Yeah? चलो फिर फर्स्ट लाइन डालो यहाँ पे जाओ, चलो किसी में जाओ, इसमें नहीं आपकी हमारी बहुत सी क्लास है सामने वाली वो ये दो कुछ आ रहा
I don't know why they Can you get back here?
I was just to let you know that I don't want the blanket for feeling.
Thank you all for coming. This is the one-year anniversary event of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Yes. We have an exciting panel for you today. So yesterday was actually the one-year anniversary. We've been doing this show for 1 year. Over 500,000 people have come to see the show. Over half of those people, 250,000 people, had never gone to a play before. So that's a pretty incredible thing. 250,000 new theater goers at this show. And by the time, yes, why not? Let's keep applauding. By the time we have to leave Toronto on July 2nd, sadly, which is just over a month from now, this show will have been performed 425 times, plus 21 previews, believe me, I count those, which is a Canadian record for a professional theater production. Pretty amazing. So, thank you again all for coming. As I said, we've got an exciting panel for you, but first I'm going to introduce the one and the only David Mirvish. Ladies and gentlemen, David. I'll leave you to it.
Thank you, Trevor. Well, this is a very exciting moment for me. We're all very proud of this production. A show like this takes an army to put on, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of the numbers. There are 40 performers, 77 backstage crew, more than 100 people in the front of house staff, and more than 100 people working in administration, box office, general management, company management, internet technology, marketing, and more. This production is its own ecosystem, providing valuable creative jobs, providing entertainment to hundreds of thousands of audience members, and adding to the economy of Toronto. That's the power of live theatre. And it's a very important part of what drives a whole system of jobs, but more than that, it's the end opportunity for those wonderful people who are training in theatre in schools here in this city, because we hope that we will create jobs that will take them all around the world, that they'll be in our theatres, but like Maya and Dionysios, end up in Australia, and London, and South Africa, and Broadway. So we've seen wonderful results from these shows. I'd like to thank every person who has made and continues to make Harry Potter and the Cursed Child in Toronto possible. And I'd like to thank each of you, our audience, for your loyal support and enthusiasm. On the day of our first performance last year, the City of Toronto issued a proclamation honoring and acknowledging live theatre in Toronto. The proclamation was read by Councillor Gary Crawford, and I'm delighted to introduce him again this year. So, Councillor Crawford and Weasel.
Thank you very much, David. It's an honor and, of course, privilege to be here. And as David was mentioned, I was here this time last year. We were outside at Yonge and Dundas Square to proclaim Live Theatre Day in the city of Toronto. And again, I'm here today to do that. So we all know that Toronto is an amazing city. And one of the reasons it's an amazing city is because of its arts and the arts community and the creative aspect of what we do as a city. And David knows far too well the importance of theatre and live theatre and art. And he's been a pioneer for the city over the years in understanding how important the creative sector is and important how the arts are to this city. And I wanted to again thank David for his work that he has done. He's made this city one of the best cities in the world, so I want to thank him for that. So I get the honor of doing the proclamation. This is on behalf of all City Councillor from the Deputy Mayor, Jennifer McKelvey. Whereas today we celebrate live theatre as a carefully and thoughtfully produced medium of art. Theatres come from the Greek word meaning places for seeing, and with the help of theatre production and art history, they transport us to different worlds where stories are brought to life. We can take in shows that are thought-provoking, have an impact on society, or are entertaining and designed to bring joy to audiences. Whether it is a comedy, a tragedy, musical, drama, theater, or even opera, live shows require the specialized skills and dedication of many people. Theater owners, writers, directors, actors, behind-the-scenes crews, and audiences ensure that spectacular live shows can take place all around Toronto. And in Toronto, we are blessed to have a wide selection of live theatre shows that offer something for everyone. We can continue to support the creative and economic well-being of our city by attending live theatre shows. Thank you to the talented artists and everyone involved in live theatre who help ensure that the show can and must go on for our residents and for all theatre enthusiasts. So, now, therefore, I, Deputy Mayor Jennifer McKelvey, on behalf of all of Toronto City Council, do hereby proclaim May 31st, 2023 as Live Theatre Day in the City of Toronto. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Councillor Crawford, and thank you, David. We're going to continue with the panel now, and I'm going to introduce, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Trevor White, I play Harry Potter, in case you're wondering. Thank you, and you're going to meet the rest of my castmates in a moment. But first, let me introduce our host for today, which is Richard Krause. He's a broadcaster, a film critic, host of the Last Call podcast, and just a wonderful man. And here he is, Richard Krause.
Wow, there are a couple of things. First of all, this is the best view in the house right here. This is incredible to see everybody. Thanks for coming out on the hottest day of the year so far. Some of you in costume, I can see. It's incredible to see all of you here today. Please help me welcome the cast. We have Trevor White, who plays Harry Potter, as you just met. Luke Kimball plays Albus Potter. Jen Thiessen joins us. She covers for Madam Hooch. Brad Potter is Draco Malfoy. Bryce Fletch is Jan Fredericks. And his fan club is right here. Miranda Mayer is do we say what your part is? She's a Dementor. Hey, welcome to the stage. And number one, Kevin Bundy covers for Amos Diggory, Albus Dumbledore, Draco Malfoy, Professor Mazzoni, and Ministry of Fifth. Welcome. Before I start asking questions of the cast, I want to see, in a show of hands, I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of you, how many people have seen the show? Yeah. Now, how many people for whom, of all of you that have seen the show, for how many of you was it the first time you had seen the show on stage? Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, you picked a good one. You picked a good one to start with. Trevor, let's talk a little bit just about the show. Why do you think that of all these people who came out on such a hot afternoon to spend some time with us, that the show resonates so much? They've come to see the show and they love it, obviously. Why do you think that is?
Well, listen, when I first read the play, I hadn't actually read the books or seen most of the movies, so I knew the world, but to be honest, I didn't actually know it like I should have done. And now that I've read the books and now I know the world, I can see why so many people, this means so much to so many people. And the play, I think what's so especially wonderful about the play, not only the relationships in terms of our father-son relationship, that's a huge thing for me, and I hope for you. Not to mention the storyline with Albus and Scorpius, and of course all the magic and all the other relationships in the plays and fan favorites like Draco. Can I call you a fan favorite? I think so. Let's say so, for argument's sake. It's got heart. It's about real people. It has an incredible story and unbelievable magic. I hate to disappoint you, but you probably won't see a show as good as this again this year. That's in a very positive way. It's such a great show that I kind of wish I could watch it. That's the only shame about being in all the time, is that I don't get to watch it. So yeah, it's just an absolutely brilliant, and I think it's been very brave of this production from when it started in London to not just retell the story that you already know from the books and the films. It's a whole new story, 20 years later, with new characters, a lot of beloved characters, and I think that's why people just keep coming back. I think some of you have probably been many times. Can I see a show of hands? How many people have been more than, wow.
Should have asked that, yeah.
Wow, okay, more than I expected.
And Luke, tell me a little bit, I saw you nodding your head when you said the worst thing about being in the show, and Trevor said the worst thing of being in the show is you can't watch it. What is it after a year of doing this show, for, what was it, 421 performances, 21 previews, or 25 performances. What is it that excites you about getting on this stage every single night still?
So many things. On any night, it's getting with these folks and doing the show, and we have really great covers on this show, so no matter who is in, like some nights it's a totally different company, people are out because they're sick or injured or have some vacation time, but no matter who's in the show, it's a real privilege to get to do this with my favorite actors in this whole country, and like I got this job right at a theater school, and some of these actors truly I looked up to and dreamt that one day I might get to meet Gregory Prest, and now he transforms into me on stage every night. It's the best thing ever. And so it's this company of people, it's this play, which I really love, and I find it so moving. But it's also the audiences. Like some nights, it's so palpable how excited people are to see this play. And when it feels that way, we can feel that energy from you all. And so thank you to all of you. That really is the thing that will also drive me. It's just, I feel so lucky.
We did one of these panel discussions last year, probably around this time, and I think it was the night before we did the panel discussion, one of the sets ran over your foot. And yet, you still went on and did the panel and did the show that night. That's how much you love doing it.
Yep. Yeah, we had a big staircase came and squeamish people, cover your ears. It ripped my toenail right out from the cuticle. And we were fine, we were totally good. Didn't miss a beat until we heard someone up in the catwalk go full volume. Oh yeah, he's bleeding everywhere. And then Thomas and I just had to not laugh at that point.
Wow, wow. Well, one of the things that's so cool for me up here, I've never been on the stage before, and to look out and to see how close the audience is, and to really, you can really feel that the audience is right there for you. And I assume, Jen, that that is what it's like when you're doing the show. What moments in the show, and we can talk pretty openly here because most everyone has seen it, do you really feel that charge from the audience?
Great question. So I'm an offstage swing and understudy, and so I get a lot of time where I get to be on stage in different tracks, and then I also get the privilege, I'm also the movement captain of the show, so I get the privilege of sitting out in the audience and watching all of these wonderful people do their thing on stage. So to me, the exciting thing about being inside the show is getting to watch them and then do it as well. So I don't know, I think it's both awesome experiences, but I love watching them do it as well.
Brad, have you had moments like that where you're on here and you just, is it ever distracting for you when you just feel the kind of waves of what I imagine is love just coming from the audience?
It's always distracting. It's no, it's really distracting. No, I've never been. I mean, I've never been in anything. I've never been in anything like this in that way that you can be on stage. You know, one of the things I remember, geez, it must have been a couple of months into the run, was sort of on the stage in the scene, and like someone in the second, third row, so. I think it's the map scene where, the kids, where are the kids? And there's Draco. Draco. And then clearly a parent or someone going, shh. And then the kid going, Draco. But there's things like, I met incredible people doing this show, and it's just that vibe from the audience. Like sometimes you get, especially young, you get young kids in here who are having the time of their lives. So we've had a kid running through the aisles, and so people just joy, like just absolute joy, and that's a really special thing to be a part of. When you spend a lot of time doing Shakespeare, you don't get that same kind of audience response of joy. Sometimes.
And Bryce, tell me, you mentioned movement at Couch, so there is a lot of prep that goes into this, obviously, other than rehearsal, that the audience just doesn't see. So describe a day for me. Describe what your day is like.
A day for myself, I think it's pretty universal amongst the company. What you do outside of the theater is maybe different. I know a lot of people will take classes like yoga, they'll take fitness classes, they'll spend time at the gym, they'll go for runs. And then when we all come into the space, there's a space just at the back of the theater, behind all the seats, where we do a warm-up as a full cast. We spend about half an hour before every show doing a physical warm-up, doing a vocal warm-up, just as a collective, kind of breathing together and getting focused before we enter the space. Then we get backstage and people have their different routines. They get into their wigs, into the makeup, they do any extra warming up they need. The show can be very physically demanding, so it's really important that we all take care of ourselves the best that we can. We will see physiotherapists, we'll see massage therapists, and we'll eat healthy and try to take care of ourselves, because when you're running around on stage for 3 hours every night, it can feel really intense if you just ate like a Big Mac and then you go on stage and then wand dance hurts more than it should.
And Miranda, we don't want to give away any trade secrets, I don't think, when we talk about your character, but when I saw this show, I was gobsmacked by your appearance. Tell me what that feels like. You must get a vibe as a Dementor. You've seen it. You know what it's like. It's such an incredible moment in the show. Tell me what that is like to provide that kind of thrill.
Yeah, thanks so much for saying that. It's one of the best feelings in the world I've ever had. One of my favorite moments is right before we enter. We're kind of way up in the rafters, and before that first Act 1 entrance, right at the end of Act 1. And I just know this is something that, if they hadn't seen the show before, no one in this audience has seen anything like this. And I'm about to blow their minds. And that feeling is, I'm just beaming behind my helmet and fabric. And we can barely see anything, but I just know, I'm about to show something that they've never seen before. And it always feels, me and the other Dementors, we talk about this sometimes, it always feels like the the applause at the end of Act 1 feels like it's for us. For a long time we weren't in the curtain call, and we are now, which we're so grateful for. So we get to bow at the end of the show, but for a long time we weren't, and so that applause at the end of Act 1 felt like, okay, yeah, that's for us. They loved it.
And another round of applause right now. Tell me about the very first time that you did it, because you have no fear of heights, obviously, or maybe you had to get over it to hang on to the game. But tell me a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, it was a big build-up. Obviously, these people, they know what they're doing. So we had a lot of stages. So we weren't kind of day one in full costume with full lights and sound doing it. It was a lot of build-up to that. And doing it in costume with lights and sound is a very different thing than doing it in this lighting with no costume. We have those long fingers and the big helmet and everything, so you really you lose your vision, you lose your sense of touch, you lose gravity, and you lose your sight. And so it's the first time was very disorienting, and we kind of realized, oh, okay, this is going to be a different job than we thought. And we kind of adapted to that, and we're used to it now, and it's just so much fun.
And Kevin, you play a number of parts, and then tell me about doing a 3-hour show where there is a great deal, 3.5 hours, where it's so technical. Tell me a little bit about the difference between doing a show like this, which has effects and all sorts of things, versus doing another big show that may not have as many technical elements that you have to be aware of.
Yeah, sure. Maybe the big difference is, and this reference Jen as the movement coach, is that so much of the show is based on the music and the beats of the music. So if you're bringing on a suitcase, or for instance, or a staircase, it's on the 3rd beat of the 2nd bar, and then it stops on the 8th beat of the 2nd bar, and the 3rd beat of the 3rd bar. You do something else, and it's all choreographed. So specifically, so unless you're in a musical, most of the shows aren't like that. So. Going on as a swing and needing to know all of those different beats and all the different tracks, you have to keep your notes pretty detailed. So that's the big difference, is that it's all set on different.
You don't really get to have an off night.
Not really, no.
Trevor, let's talk a little bit about the message of the play. So when we did this panel last year, my favorite moment in the panel was I asked something like that, and there were 2 young women in the front row dressed in their Harry Potter finery. And someone on the panel said, well, Harry Potter's all about love. And they both looked at me and went, it's so true. It's so true. And they were just it was just so pure and great, and I loved that moment. So I'm gonna throw the question out to you again, and I'm gonna watch you guys while he answers. What do you think the message of this play is?
Yeah, I think it is about love. In terms of Harry's journey in the show, it's very much a journey of someone who is learning to love themselves, and I really mean that. That at the beginning of the play, Harry's been through, in stories previous to this, so much trauma, and wasn't allowed or able to have a normal childhood, and so has gone into parenthood kind of blind, and isn't able to. It's easy with his oldest son, because he's just easy and goes off and is popular, and it's fine. But with someone a little more complicated, it brings up a lot of stuff in Harry, I think, that he's not able to really sit with and face, and is a huge challenge. So it's such a gratifying journey for me every performance to get to the end of the play where we're able to have a little version of what a hug. We actually did a huge hug at the beginning of rehearsal, and they're like, too much. We were like, oh no, come on, it feels nice. Haven't we earned that? It's a long play. But the truth is, even that's a step on what we hope is a bigger step, and another step, and another step after that in that relationship, which is central to my journey through the play. I mean, even the relationship with Draco, I think I love what the play does, that Harry is actually kind of the bad guy in a way, because I've learned certain lessons in my life that I apply to this situation. I'm close. I think it's Scorpius. It's actually somebody else, in case you haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it. But the point being is that it's actually Draco who is the bigger man and is the probably more emotionally intelligent person that's able to see beyond things and be brave and talk about his own issues that allows me to open up and see things for what they are. So I really love that about the play. I think, you know, as RuPaul famously says, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? I can't say the whole line because there's, yeah. So that's where it starts. It starts with, and I keep remembering there's people up there. Hello, everybody. We love you too. Loving yourself and then being able, therefore being more capable of loving your own child, even your rival, whoever it may be in the play. That's what keeps me coming back. And I think one of the most gratifying things over the course of the run has been the Wednesday afternoons. We have school groups in now and have for many weeks. The response that they have toward the play, and particularly towards the Albus-Scorpius relationship, is just overwhelming. It's so fantastic to hear that it resonates with those younger kids. So that just makes it all worthwhile for me.
Luke, let's talk about Albus and the idea, I mean, the curse, it's in the title, the cursed child. So tell me a little bit about whether you think the curse is real, is it metaphorical, or is it just a manifestation of the stress that he must feel trying to live up to a family name?
Yeah, I mean, it's a super clever title, because who is the cursed child? I mean, at first glance, you might go, oh, it's probably Albus, but it could be Scorpius. It could be somebody else in the play. So there are a couple options. I mean, my contention, I play Albus, so I think he's the cursed child. But, you know, is Harry, all of these books are about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. The book is about the Chamber of Secrets, and this play is about Harry and Albus. And so I'll speak for the point of view that it is Albus, and say that it's the curse of the reputation of Harry Potter and what that has done to fracture the relationship of these two people that really do love each other. You don't get that emotionally heated with someone that you're apathetic to. These people want to find a way to have a functional relationship, and this play is them battling that curse. So the enemy of this play is that curse, would be my contention. You buy it? Thanks, Pops.
The stamp of approval. Jen, you said that you are often here, you're watching the show. So you've probably seen the show more than almost anybody else.
I 100%
100%
have. Many, many times. Great work, everyone.
Yeah. Are there moments in the show that aren't necessarily those giant moments, the Dementors or the some of the big effects moments that still grab at you even though you've seen it 425 times?
Yes, I think there's so many. I think there's so many of those beautiful moments, and I think that those moments are always in the details. It's so exciting for me to watch again and again and again and notice almost something new or something that we didn't know was so important to the storytelling. Myself and the resident director often say that there's a ripple effect of this show. If that suitcase isn't exactly right in that spot, it affects not only the next scene, but 3 scenes later. So just the magic of this show, to me, is all of those beautiful little details that somebody like Kevin, who does play several different parts, he knows all of those beautiful details in all of those beautiful different characters and beautiful different roles. And so what a privilege for me to get to watch him. And if he does it wrong, he gets a note. Don't. But he's perfect, obviously. And then just to get to watch these guys who are in it every night, who are in those roles, play with somebody different within the context of exactly what they're supposed to do, but still give us a feeling, or still have the feeling of this is the first time that they're discovering that moment. To me, it's just that is so spectacular and so special.
Brad, let's talk about Draco. He's not the same Draco that we remember from 20 years ago. How has he changed?
I think, well, I mean, obviously he's suffered, there's been a lot of loss, and the relationship with his parents was fraught. Yeah, and so I think we're seeing the result. To speak to what Trevor was saying, I think the play does a beautiful thing of playing with our expectation of these characters too.
Yeah, I find Harry. We've talked about this. That Harry's more the Draco we remember, and Draco's kind of got more the in a way. They've kind of swapped in terms of their life experience and produced two different men. They're the same age, as is pointed out in the duel.
For kids in this world, Harry Potter, Hermione, Ron, the story, the Battle of Hogwarts, all that stuff that happened in the books and the movies, that's their pop culture. That's their fun information. That's their celebrity stuff that they get to obsess over and learn so much about. So I find like that's coming at it from that kind of fan perspective, I think, is it really helped inform that when you're on the train and you're talking with your classmates, or you see Albus Potter run by, or you see Harry Potter on the platform in 9 3/4, you're like, oh, that's so cool, and I know these fun facts I can tell you, or blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so I think being a fan definitely helped inform most of the character work, the scene work, just the fun playing you get to do on stage with your cast members. Yeah, it's great.
Miranda, tell me about your audition and what that was like, and what skill set, I guess, you thought that you would need for this that perhaps was unexpected.
Yeah, I'm a dancer by trade, and after studying dance in theater school, I stumbled into the physical theater world, which I really, really love, that kind of blend of dance and acting, of movement and acting, telling stories with movement and with the body and with music or not, but that's a world I really, really love. So this role felt definitely in that pocket of portraying this character with only movement. And the audition was first a group audition that I think everybody did. A super physical test, essentially, of what can your body do? Are you in shape to do in a 3.5-hour show 8 times a week? And then for me, it was just one other callback of a half-hour flying call. So we went up to the circus school up at Downsview, and I worked with the Foy team, and they put me in a harness and flew me up and see, okay, are you comfortable up there? Can you manipulate your body while you're up there? Can you portray a character while you're up there? Okay, great. And then that was all they needed to see for that. And then it was really fun working with, again, the different layers once we had the head and the hands and that amazing fabric to say, okay, now how can we manipulate this to portray the character of a Dementor? How do we essentially depression embodied in this creature, and what do we have to use to portray that? Was really fun. I really enjoyed doing that.
And how thick was the non-disclosure agreement that you probably had to sign?
Yeah, it's a book.
Kevin, tell me, so you play so many different characters, and you have so many things probably percolating in your head all the time. Tell me a little bit about the process of just keeping it all straight. It's a much different kind of thing than a regular show.
Yeah, this is a weird job. I've never been a swing before, so the first month of rehearsals, we would sit and watch everybody else rehearsing, and then just run our lines with each other. And then we would get our own rehearsals afterwards, after everybody went home. We got our understudy rehearsals. So it's a weird job. You have to, especially not just covering one person, but covering 5 people. It's a real exercise for the brain. So somebody said, I'm probably going to live to 95 and remember everything now that I've exercised my brain so much like this, remembering all these parts. But yeah, it's constant repetition, and it wasn't until just even maybe a couple of months ago where I wasn't so nervous going on stage and getting the call and saying, "Oh, you're going on for Sean Wright today," and going, "Oh my God, where are those notes? What are those notes? Where are they?" And finding them and getting them out and doing them. So yeah, it was a long haul to get there.
And how much notice do you get? Is it an hour before? Do they tell you the day before? How long do you know?
It really depends. Usually around 4 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock show. Sometimes it's at intermission. You're going on for, so I did that for Brad. I went on.
We've done it at the half.
Yeah, I've done it at the half. I've gone on for, or I went on for Brendan Wall at intermission. He wasn't feeling well, so they said, "You got the call. You're going in in 20 minutes." So yeah, it can be. It depends. Or there's a master schedule, and I know. Oh, in a week I'm going on for Stephen Sutcliffe. So it really varies. Yeah.
So at the half, when you're told you have to go on at intermission, it does the pit of your stomach just drop, or is it like, this is exciting?
Both. It's both. It was more pit of the stomach drop before, and now it's really exciting. It's usually the wardrobe people that go mental, who have to figure out everything and change all the stuff. So while I sit around and watch them go crazy.
Trevor, tell me a little bit about Harry Potter as a parent. It's a new way of thinking about him, if you're familiar with the books and the films. This presents a new take on Potter. So what is your take on him as a parent?
Well, I touched on it a bit in the last answer. I mean, I'm a dad of 2 kids now, one of whom, my first is a daughter, the second is a son, who was born literally in the middle of rehearsal. So that's, they say there's no perfect timing, that definitely wasn't it. So if I fall asleep, you'll understand why. It added an extra layer of, because all we can do is take our real lives and our real life's experiences, bring that to the character that we play, and there's going to be some crossover, and sometimes more and sometimes less. But in this case, there was quite a lot. For me, the personal journey through the play and how I relate to chiefly Elvis, because that's the central part of the story for me. That's what I really love to explore every night, because it is the journey of someone who isn't able to be with themselves, I think, really in a comfortable way, and sit with themselves and really be honest about who they are and what they stand for. I think even Ginny says in the scene that we have in the bedroom about my Harry Potter front, which I sort of take offense to in the moment, but really she's right. I put up a certain facade because that's part of surviving as a very famous person, I think, as well. You can't take on everything and everyone. You wouldn't be able to cope. But probably that bleeds very much into my relationship with my kids and actually with Ginny as well. That I can't really be. I've never been allowed to grow up, I think. That's how I see it anyway. And so a lot of what this journey of this play affords Harry is the opportunity to get to know who he really is, so that at the end he can take the risk of putting his arm around his son and hope that he won't be rejected. Because I think until the moment that Elvis leans into me, it very possibly might not be okay. But for the first time in his life, Harry's apologized, and for the first time in his life, he's actually reached out with vulnerability, I think. So that's a big part of the journey for me.
You were at the Toronto Metropolitan School about a year and a half ago, probably, studying theater. This is your first job out of that. You left, I think, before finishing, right, to do this play?
I started auditioning for this in my 3rd year, booked it in the end of my 4th year, and we were set to start a month after graduating.
Right.
Which didn't happen because of a pandemic.
Right. When I assume that were you able to tell your classmates that you were booked? No?
No, well, I'm far enough in, they can't fire me at this point. I told about 2 of them who'd been really integral in helping me. I told them shortly after, but most of my class who knew I was doing, because I would have to miss, I never miss class, but I have to miss it every once in a while to do one of these auditions. I already knew I was doing it, and then I booked it, and my agent was like, "You can't tell anyone." And I was like, "Can I tell my parents?" And she was like, "Will they keep it a secret?" And I was like, I don't know. So I didn't tell them until the week before the announcement went out. In my class, I told them minutes before the announcement went out. I was like, "By the way, you're gonna find this out in a couple minutes," and then let them know. I felt bad about that, but also I wasn't going to jeopardize this thing.
Were they pleased for you, or was there a bit of... What was the overall feeling from your classmates?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. They were great. They were great. Honestly, they were great. Most of them have seen the show at this point. Yeah, it's a funny thing. Like, it's so hard. It's something that all artists are grappling with, is trying to be proud of your colleagues and not feel jealousy, which is, inherently there. And it's just how you deal with that. But they're a great group of people, all 16 of them. They're a really special group. And they're all great. Like, one of my buddies just got nominated for a Dora 2 days ago from my class. So they're a really special, talented group. So they're going to do really great in their own right. So hopefully they didn't feel too threatened by the thing.
Jen, tell me how it makes you feel to be part of a show that brought people back to the theater after the pandemic, when we weren't sure whether people would come back after the pandemic and sit next to a stranger and enjoy something. And of that amount of people, the 500,000 people that have walked through this theater, so many of them came here for the first time and probably had a love of theater. Here comes, hello, and now have a love of theater sort of baked into them because of this experience. How does that make you feel?
I mean, that is such a loaded question, but the thing that comes to mind is just, it's been such a privilege to do it at this theatre, this beautiful theatre which they spent $5 million renovating and turning it into this spectacle which is just gorgeous, right? So gorgeous. And then I'm a Canadian immigrant as well, so for me to be a part of the all-Canadian cast, that just like makes me cry. It's such a big deal for it to be an Australian and Canadian and be a part of that. And so to do that for Canadian audiences, this country that I love so much, alongside these brilliant and beautiful people, there's no other word. I just feel so privileged and so honored. I think that's my answer before I cry.
I have a list of questions from social media that were sent in for all of you. So Brad, here's one for you.
Okay. Has
the character you portray, has Draco taught you anything about yourself?
I try to refuse to learn anything about myself. No, I have two kids who are huge Harry Potter fans, and Draco is loud and takes up a lot of space when he wants to, and I certainly see reflections of that within my household and my parenting. I don't know, it continues. Look, one of the things, almost more than the character, the experience for me, I can only, personally, I've never done a show that has had 425 performances, ever. 8 shows a week of this, and that experience...
I mean, it's really remarkable, right? I don't know that people understand what a huge achievement that is, to have a show that runs that long.
It's, and anything that, I think most of the experience on this stage would not be that. I worked at the Stratford Festival, but you're working in rep, you're doing 2 or 3 different shows at a time. This one show, 3.5 hours long, 8 times a week, for all of eternity, that teaches you something about yourself. I learned something from every character I play, from every ensemble I get to work with, every director. I think that's part of being an artist, it's part of what I love about what we do. You get to take, you absorb it all. This experience is so singular, it's absolutely unique. And what I've learned in terms of managing, it's hard. It's really hard on the home life, obviously, when you do have a family who are huge fans and are here supporting you, but you don't get to see them. Literally, you don't see them very often. On a 2-show day, we're in this theater for 12 hours, essentially. I mean, that's not the usual experience. So I've learned a lot about stamina. This show, very quickly, 2 concussions and a busted leg that's still going. It's like stamina, right? Stamina. It's like, I've learned about perseverance, and I love it. Yeah.
And what do you do between shows on a double show day?
Sometimes I set up a cot in our bathroom and I sleep for an hour.
We keep threatening to go for a run, Bryce and I keep threatening. We keep threatening to do it. We haven't done it yet in between shows. But yeah, no, I think some people rest. Where we do our warm up, there's stuff up there. Some people would go up and work out. We would go and play catch when we were getting Trevor ready to throw the first pitch last year. We would do that. But yeah, sometimes it's good to get out of the building. But sometimes I just stay in the little hovel. What do you do?
I will like go to a coffee shop and do some work, or I do a lot of photography, so you can find me at like downtown camera pretty often, or just like sleep, go for food. Finding a green space as a company is really nice. We'll just gather as a group, like the quad in TMU, or there's parks nearby, or just find a green space just to like enjoy the sunlight during the warm seasons.
It's interesting just how kind of like primal the stuff that you start to crave is. I want to see sunlight and I want to eat. Maybe some caffeine would be good. Bryce, another question from the social media list. If there was another character in the play that you could play, what would it be?
I really want to do the trolley witch in drag. I'm dead serious. This has been in my back pocket since we started rehearsals. I've made the jokes to people who are above me, and I've said, hey, what if we did this? Haha, I'm not joking. I would do the rest of the show like as a man. I would do it like as a teacher, and I would happily do it, but I really would love to do the trolley witch in drag. I just think it would be so fun.
Yes, God!
And Miranda, for you, what would it be? Because your character is so unique, and it had to be under wraps for so long. As you said earlier, you didn't come out and take a bow at the end of a show and that sort of thing. What would it be for you?
I've always had my eye on the Polly Myrtle track. I love moaning Myrtle, and I love watching Katie Rouse, and it's just phenomenal. And that scene I get to watch from side stage every single show, because it's right before I go in and get it clipped up, and I just love what she does with it. I want to get on that sync. I love that track.
And Kevin, we've talked a great deal about the skill set that it takes to be a swing and to just keep all of that juggling around in your head. What about this has pushed you outside of a comfort zone? Is it just the sheer volume of work that there is to be a swing, or is there something about an individual character or something like that that you play that has pushed you?
That's a good question. I think it's kind of like the sheer volume of holding all that in my head. And I think it was 2 weeks ago I did 4 different tracks in 4 successive shows.
When you say track, that characters.
Yeah. Characters, or doing an ensemble part. So it was the repetition of doing that and putting that, keeping that all in my head. That was a huge challenge for me. Yeah, and never having done it before, it was really tough.
Do you think that you'll carry this around in a month when the show closes?
Oh God, I hope not.
Or would you hit that? You hit that dump button and it's gone.
I probably won't, but I'd like to. Yeah.
What was it like throwing out the pitch at the first pitch at a Blue Jays game?
Well, amazing. Also, yeah, kind of terrifying. Brad's about to do it next week. For those of you who also are Blue Jays fans, come watch Brad. Was it Monday night? Monday night? Yeah. Well, this Monday. This Monday. Yeah.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a dream.
It's a dream. We're both sports fans as well, and I mean, I never would have imagined in a million years that we get to throw out the first. He helped me practice.
I helped you practice. Not good enough because you did hit the plate. You didn't get it over the plate. You did stuff the plate.
It was a curveball, and it just kept curving. I was up 0-2 in the count, I imagined, and he was just chasing some jump. That's what it was. That's what I envisioned. It was pretty special, and a lot of people came out and saw the game, and it was a really fun. It was an awesome occasion. Being able to do things like that in and around this job is pretty special as well. But as Luke said earlier, the response that we get from you guys each and every show, and I know a lot of you have been more than once, and we love that too, is just that's what really makes it worthwhile.
And you're getting ready to do it? So.
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I'm practicing in the alleyway behind my house a little bit. Kevin and I are going out after this, I think, to throw a couple of
glove. We're going out.
Yeah, brought a glove. Because, my 10-year-old has been sending me a lot of, as soon as it got announced, because I was
I'm usually pretty sullen at home, and my whole family knew something was up, and I read an email, and all of a sudden I was like bouncing around, and I'm telling them, and my first name is Ninja, my youngest kid's a 10-year-old, sent me this text of like, this link to top 10 worst first pitches ever thrown. They've just been trolling me the whole time. So.
There's no way that you'll never be worse than 50 Cent. Just look up Curtis Jackson. That's the worst first pitch ever. So you'll be fine. As long as you don't throw a better pitch than me, which you probably will. I'll never hear the end of it.
Luke, do you have a favorite line? Do you have a moment, this is a social media question, do you have a moment in the show when you do the thing and you can just feel it is specifically coming back from the audience?
Yeah, it depends. Like, the great thing about this show is, like, some audiences have totally new reactions to things that we've never heard before, and that's, like, thrilling. I want to tell stories, but I'm just reticent of the few people that haven't seen it yet, so there was one in particular that, like, we'd never heard anything on. We all know what this particular line means, but it never had a reaction, and then it was a school show. It's always the school shows. And the whole audience just, like, gasped at this one word. And then we're spending the next, like, it was in the maze sequence, if anybody knows it. Then Thomas, Raylene, and I are just spending the next 15 seconds trying not to fall apart, because it was the most exciting thing ever. I guess the answer I can give with the most specificity that I get every night is, I know Bryce loves this scene as well. We run up from the back of the stage, we walk right here, and we look out at Hogwarts in the distance, and they light the audience as well. So we're looking out at Hogwarts, and, you know, Luke is Albus looking at Hogwarts, but Luke is half Luke looking at this audience of people looking at this beautiful show that I get to be a part of. And you can't help but have part of you just get to relish that moment a little bit. So that, I get that every night, and that's gorgeous.
And Jen, because you've seen the show so often, this is a social media question, is there a favorite or funniest mishap during a show?
Oh, well, you had a spectacular one, didn't you?
Other than the bleeding foot.
Oh, yeah, no. Didn't you have a great one, Trevi, where there was a wand that went down out into the audience?
Yeah, well, again, I think you've mostly seen it, but all I'll say is that I was supposed to catch a wand and I didn't. And it ended up...
I was supposed to throw it really well, and I did.
Yeah, I was being polite, I didn't say that part. But the wand ended up somewhere down where you guys are. I mean, they never found it. Well, they found it after the show, I think. Hi, guys. But an audience member actually gave me their wand that they probably purchased right out there in the lobby to save the world. So that was not in the script. It turns out we worked out later. It was actually Luke said, "Oh, you can just come over and grab mine later in the scene." I was like, "Oh, I never thought of that." Anyway, but so now when that happens, that's what we do. But that time, an audience member saved the show, and everyone seemed to like it. So you know, I mean, you're all here. You're not there, but you're there.
When you are doing a show and something does go wrong, I mean, you just have to think very quickly.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So I've got some genuine personal experience with this particular question, Richard. If everyone can see the flue back there, which is a beautiful in fire coming, you know, it's a fireplace. There's fire, and then we go through the flue, and the flue was built for not tall people, and I have a long flowing gown. It's waistcoat, so getting set up in there to achieve this moment in the show. On one occasion, I hit my head, so that was, and I'm fine mostly, and but I can't. And so when I stood up, obviously I knew I'd hit my head. But the first, stood up, and so it's not my own hair in the show, everybody.
What?
And so I wore, and so
you're
all
breaking the illusion for the people.
I'm sorry, I'm fine. But so I said, and I was essentially, a skunk cone head, like. and the soot from then I could tell.
You looked hilarious, yeah.
Yeah, and I was mildly concussed, you know, sort of having to finish off that scene. I've also, on 2 occasions, come out through that fireplace, and part of my costume has caught in the mechanism. And so one time, I literally, so it's like my whole thing went ripped down the middle, and as I stood up, literally like a cartoon, all the buttons on and you're standing, and everybody knows, but all you can do is, you know, the show must go on, of course. So, you know, you're standing there trying to nonchalantly and sort of like keep it together and just get off stage as your costume falls off.
Well, and yeah, the time you got stuck in there completely, his legs were doing.
I forgot. That's right.
A beetle.
I forgot. So the first time my costume got stuck, because it's happened twice. The first time it got stuck, like I got stuck. So it really was like think like the Grinch who stole, like, you know, sort of that kind of like it's all. And then you got the wonderful, wonderful Fiona Reed playing McGonagall, who's like, ooh, Draco, ooh. Like everyone's just filling time with noises, and she's doing these like Scottish, ooh, ooh, ooh. It's like pulling on me, and I'm, yeah, it's very.
And for you guys, when you're on stage and something like that happens, what goes through your mind? You haven't made the mistake. You haven't had anything go wrong.
I had no idea the Grinch happened. That was this is a first for me too. It's the kind of thing where the not funny Grinch mistakes where you just have to fill time and help out. Then the ones that like you got to keep going so the show must go on. I think it's what's nice is that we as an ensemble, both like the ensemble cast and the leading the speaking cast, the whole collective, we've spent so much time rehearsing and working with one another that no matter who is on for what part, you know that you can trust the person you're across from. You can trust that if I need to pass this off to this person, if I need to get this suitcase on at the 2 of the 3 and then the 3 of the 8, someone's going to do something else, that you know whoever's there is going to do it. We've spent so much time rehearsing, we spent so much time performing together, and we spent so much time just swapping in and out of parts for any number of reasons that when something does go wrong, there's the moment where you can giggle because you hear Fiona Reed making Scottish noises, and then there's also the moment where you can breathe comfortably, maybe after a quick moment of panic, because you know that I missed a line, I dropped the thing, this isn't where it's supposed to be, but everyone around me has got my back, and like I'm gonna be okay.
You often hear from people who are performing in shows or on television shows. I usually interview television and movie casts, that we're a family, we're all together, and often I think, how true can it be? But I've spent a bit of time with all of you, and it does feel like there's a bond here, born over the rehearsal period and the 400 performances and that sort of thing. That does feel very real, right? Does it? I mean, am I getting that right?
Way off base, yeah, no. No, that's so true. It really, at the beginning, I think all of us were kind of looking at each other and saying, did we get cast based on personality? Like, everyone is great, everyone's so nice, and we all had such a great time together all through rehearsals, and my rehearsal process was super different, so it was me and my other Dementor, Mandy, who were just together all the time. And then, yeah, as soon as we're all together and in our dressing rooms, everyone has kind of a different dressing room, so you get different relationships with those people there. But exactly as Bryce said, everyone on stage, you can trust them literally with your life sometimes. And for me, it's a bit more, I'm trusting stage management, I'm trusting the tech team and the crew. Because
that's what made me think to ask you this question, because there's a huge amount of trust in your...
Yeah, my guy Zach, he clips me in every night, and I trust him completely, yeah.
We're almost out of time for the panel, but Kevin, I'll start with you, and I'm going to sort of work my way back with everyone's incredible run. What are you going to miss about it?
Well, one thing, this theater, it's a real, as everybody has said, it's a real privilege to walk into this space every night. I'm gonna miss the audience reaction to the show and the company feeling, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, those are big ones. The people, the space, in short, are big ones. And I love the routine of it. I love that we do warm-ups all together. That's something that's rare. That kind of came from the UK. That's not really a North American practice, to do a full company warm-up before every show. And that's been really, really special to have that. I'm gonna miss that.
The really easy answer, which I think we're all going to touch on in some way, is to say each other in this company. But I think something that's been really special has been the moments like right now where we're getting to see the audience more than just like because you're all lit, or or we're exiting the theater and people are walking past not knowing who we are. We're on the subway and we're anonymous because we've got our ball caps on and our headphones in, and you see people just ecstatic, and you see how happy the last 3.5 hours has made it for them. How you see kids dressed in their Hogwarts robes, and this was a once-in-a-life experience for them. You see, I love when people come dressed in costume. I love that people love things, and I love seeing people love this. It's really nice, and it's really nice to feel like for just a moment I've helped people feel that. I've helped make that magic for them. That's been really nice.
I've been thinking, yeah. And, you know, it's very, in a very personal way, jumping off that would be my kids. I've seen the change in the year, but this thing means, I've never been part of anything that meant so much to my immediate, like people in my life who I love more than anything else in the world. My kids, when I got this gig, when the gig got put on hold in the pandemic, I remember my kids were beside, like, it's been such a personal experience within my family. And even this year now to come out the other side with my youngest kid who is kind of moving away from Harry Potter a little bit. And the beginning of this contract was the biggest Harry Potter fan there was. And now it's just sort of, you know, just sort of doing that thing it does. And so I'm going to miss this, like, I don't mean this selfishly, but I'm going to miss this time in my life. Everything about this has been so charmed, and because of everything Bryce just said, the experience has been such a heightened one. But within my own life, my own personal life, with my children, this time has been, I wasn't ready for what this was going to mean for me. And that thing, you know, you try and take these pictures in your head, you have these moments like this panel here, this is such a lovely thing to do this afternoon, and to be here and to be able to talk about it, and you try and hold on to it, right? We try and hold on to those things, but they're gone, they're fleeting, and the theater, that is, but the very nature of theater, it's this beautiful thing and it ends. And I hate when things end. And so I'm gonna miss this time in my life with these people, but also like with my people, and with these people. This was just really, this is a gift. It's an absolute gift.
What a cool dad you are. For me, of course, the people. I love these people so much. I tell them every day. It's probably very annoying for them, but I do. They're great, fantastic. And in this show, the movement, it's Stephen Hoggett who created the movement of this show. In my opinion, he's a genius. It's just so spectacular. Totally, absolutely. And so for me to be like charged with keeping the integrity of what he said is such an honor. It's such a privilege, and it really, we created an entire world. That Hogwarts world means so much to people, to all of you guys, to all of us, right? Like, it's such a spectacular world, and there's so much weight to it. So for somebody to come in and a cape flourish at a certain point, it creates the magic, and it's so special. So what an honor to have gotten to do it. What an honor to continue to do it for the next month or so. And I'll miss this story, and I'll miss telling it with these beautiful people.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything, like my answer is pretty much the same. It's going to be these people, it's going to be this story, and it's going to be these audiences, and the tact I'll take on how I'll say this is like, I'm going to miss the fact that this play has such a unique ability to be such a wholly theatrical experience. There are these moments in this play where these huge things happen, and you'll hear the audience like erupt into applause, and it's like I always want to wait, like I always want to hold for those applauses, and it's not because of some like self-indulgence for our play, but it's like, no. These people all get to sit in a room together, all 1,500, 1,600 people, and experience the same thing together and have a vocal response together, and that's theater. And this play has these moments built in it like probably no other play that I'll get to do. So I'm gonna miss that, being able to really let people have the full breadth of what a theatrical experience can be. And so I hope that, hope I can take that forward, and I hope that everybody that's seen this show, when you see your next play, I hope you'll do that too. I hope you'll bring that energy, and you'll be vocal, and you'll clap, and you'll cheer, and you'll be rude, and let the actors hear you, because it really is the best thing, and we love it. And I just love and hunger for those audiences that are game for that, because it makes your experience better.
Something that we were expressly told not to do in the bows at the end of every show is, like, do a cheeky wave or something like that. It's supposed to be like the show, and I understand it's supposed to be very professional, it's all part of the thing. But Luke and I often have a thing, especially when there's like cute smiling kids in costumes like you guys in the front row, like exactly like that, waving like that. I'll be like, Luke, when we go in for the second bow, I think I'm gonna wave. And sometimes actually the kids aren't even looking at you at all. So you're like, well, maybe that was a bit of a waste of a wave, and I'll probably get a note about that. But sometimes they are. And truthfully, I mean, like these guys said, there's so many. We could spend another hour each probably talking about all the little moments that happen every day, the routines, the things that happen once and once only. But I will particularly miss the connection with the kids out there, because I think that's, knowing that for so many of them it's their first ever show, and sitting in the front row, sometimes they do, and looking up and wearing their costumes and having that connection, knowing that, they might have a whole lifetime of exciting storytelling and theater and whatever it may be ahead of them. That's been an incredible privilege. So yeah, I will miss that for sure.
Thank you to everybody on the panel. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's so cool to look down and see a community of people that come out and like feel like part of the community. And I think that's what theater does so well, and this show has really fostered that in the audiences. And that is, I think, something that's very special. That's it. That is it for the panel discussion. Before you all go, though, everyone, look under your seats. There's a few lucky guests who have won tickets to see the show. Bryce Fletch, to Miranda Mayer, and of course to Kevin Bundy, and a big thanks to you.
Maybe tomorrow. Oh my God. Are you looking for a picture? Okay, guys, there's a line. I realize that. Oh my God. Something.
Thank you, sir.
Your face.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let's go. What are these jelly beans?
Every flavor is last time.
Are we going to Hogwarts Express after that? Okay, last answer.
Do you want to go in it too?
Perfectly fine.
Are you sure?
I can wait. No problem. No problem.
No, but I'll take both of you. Do you want both of you?
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
मुझे टिकट का टेंशन नहीं था, मुझे बस अपना वो चीज़ चाहिए थी. Let's go. No, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Of what? A poncho? No, I think it's a poncho. Shirt of what? Says what? I said no for it. Yeah, he offered me and I said no, sir, I'm good, thank you. Okay, because he said okay. Which side did we come out?